On the 11th of October 2019 at around 10:40 am, a then 41-year-old Raphael Chevelleau walked into a store in Blackley, a suburban area within the city of Manchester, located in the north of England. He looked around briefly looking for knives, and eventually he found one that he wanted to purchase. He purchased a knife for around £1.50, but it wasn't for cutting, chopping, and preparing food, neither was it for some kind of activity for work. His one sole intention was to try and cause as much damage on human life as he possibly could, all for the low price of £1.50. So after he purchased the knife, Raphael hopped on a bus headed for Shude Hull interchange, which arrived at roughly 11 am. And then he made a rough 1-minute walk to Manchester's Arndale Centre shopping mall. Once arriving at the shopping mall, Raphael walked towards the restrooms where he entered a private baby changing area. He didn't want to arouse suspicion and potentially be stopped by members of the general public. After spending moments in the changing area, he took the packaged knife out of his jacket, took it out of the packaging, threw the packaging in the bin, and was ready to hunt, looking for blood. As I was about to step into office, I looked up and saw a man running at me with a massive grin on his face. He couldn't stop smiling. Within the matter of seconds, though, I saw that he was being chased by another man who shouted, "Stop him, he has a knife." Before I knew it, the man had lunged at me, swinging the knife towards my stomach. Shortly after, I felt a dull blunt pain going in and out. I couldn't believe I'd just been stabbed, and the fact that the man had a wide cheesy smile as he was doing it made it all the more disturbing. It's how the second victim of Raphael's knife attack described him as he approached her and went on to stab her. In fact, he did a whole loop of Arndale and eventually would go on to stab 5 people, although he did try and stab more, including a woman who had been pushing a baby stroller with her newborn baby. Luckily for that woman, the knife didn't penetrate, but when police followed up with her later, on that very same day, she was described as shaken and timid. Others were not as lucky though. An unnamed 49-year-old woman had been working in a department store on that Friday, and when she heard people screaming "run," she ran with the crowds down the stairs. People were quite literally running for their lives. Out of nowhere though, she said she felt a banging on her hand 3 or 4 times and then an impact in her back. She'd just been stabbed. "I thought I was finished. I thought I was going to die," she recalls. And although the knife did penetrate due to her thick clothing, the knife didn't give serious injuries. Of all the victims though, a 19-year-old girl who'd been visiting Manchester from Ireland with a group of friends for one of their birthdays sustained more serious injuries. The girl had never been to Manchester before, and on that Friday, the group decided to head to Starbucks for a drink before the day ahead. But again, just like everyone in the shopping mall on that Friday, they too heard shouts of "everyone run." The 19-year-old in her head thought there'd been some sort of fight, but she was wrong. The knife man was running directly towards her, and although by this point multiple people had begun to give chase on the knife man, he would go on to stab the girl. She was described in a sense as deer in headlights. She was stuck, and eventually when she was pulled away from Raphael, she was left with a huge knife wound on her arm. It was dripping with blood. Her friends began to scream, but luckily members of the public came to her aid and made a makeshift bandage with a scarf. She'd been stabbed in her arm near to her shoulder, which had gone bone deep. When she was taken to hospital, she had to undergo an operation and stayed there for 4 days before being discharged.
Yeah. Keep your legs there, mate. Have you got anything on you now? Which bin? Which bin? Over there. Yeah, go have a look over there, mate.
When Raphael was eventually apprehended by officers, he told them the motive behind the stabbing was that he was going to stab his ex-girlfriend. We don't exactly know why, but he couldn't be bothered to go through with it, so he chose to attack people at random, adding that he was guilty as sin. He was then taken to Ashworth Hospital, a high-security psychiatric hospital in Merseyside, again in the north of England, where he was since diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic, who suffered with delusional thoughts and heard voices in his head. He's remained there since and was charged with 3 counts of wounding with intent and 2 counts of attempted wounding, all to which he pled guilty to. He hasn't been handed a sentence as of yet though. That will be handed tomorrow from when I'm recording this video, so I will leave the sentence pinned in the comment of this video at some point tomorrow. For now though, give the video a like for more crime related content like this, and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't. It's been me, Huncho, and I'll see you in the next one.